Good Tuesday morning, and thanks for joining us from the Ohio AgNet, the voice you know with the news you trust studio, sponsored by the Grain Equipment Company, where innovation meets execution. I'm Joe Everett. Well, currently 36 degrees outside this morning, and over the last couple of days here on the farm, we've had some nice rain here for a total of about 9/10 sitting in the rain gauge, but now it looks like we're going to see some nice sunshine here later this morning. Now looking at some of your agricultural news headlines. Well, the Association of Equipment Manufacturers released the November 2024 Ag Tractors and Combine Sales Report that showed lower numbers than November of last year. U.S. sales of tractors in all classes dropped over 14% compared to the same time a year ago. U.S. combine sales remained soft, showing a decline of 24% year-to-date in 2024. November sales of tractors and combines follow the same pattern of the last few months of softness in the market. This slowdown can be traced back to high interest rates and uncertainty in the ag economy, says Kurt Blades, AEM Senior Vice President. U.S. sales of 100-plus horsepower tractors took the biggest drop in November, down 37% from last year, and four-wheel drive tractor sales were closer to stable, but still 5% lower than a year ago. Well, economic aid for farmers is in jeopardy. Legislators are working to try and pass a continuing resolution to keep the government funded, but there were rumblings over the weekend that essential aid for the nation's farmers would not be included. Farm Policy News Senate Ag Chair Debbie Stabenow moved conservation dollars from the Inflation Reduction Act into the baseline for the Farm Bill. She'd like to take the majority of those funds and put them into a package for farmers immediately. However, Speaker Mike Johnson says the majority of the GOP conference would not support a proposed agreement that adds Inflation Reduction Act funding into legislation's baseline. House GOP leadership says this is a Democratic priority, even though many lawmakers on both sides of the aisle support the move. Ultra-conservative GOP members want to outright cut those IRA dollars and block any additional federal spending. Additionally, some key Republican leaders want more money included for direct farmer aid. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at today's weather after this.
Since 1926, Nationwide has been rooted in agriculture. Founded as the Farm Bureau Mutual Automobile Insurance Company with a mission to protect farmers and their communities, we honor our legacy by offering solutions that evolve with the complex needs of today's farms. As the leading insurer of America's farms and trusted by 8 farm bureaus for 100 years and counting, Nationwide is on your side. Number 1 insurer based on 2023 direct written premium per AM Best. Nationwide Mutual Insurance Company and affiliates, Columbus, Ohio.
Did you know soybeans' number 1 customer is animal agriculture? That includes Ohio's pig farms. Soybeans provide a blend of protein and energy to keep Ohio pig farms growing. Nationally, Ohio ranks 7th in pork production, and those pigs consume 6.3 million metric tons of soybean meal. It takes a lot of soybeans to make that kind of bacon. Soybeans feeding the industry that feeds us. Brought to you by the Ohio soybean farmers and their checkoff.
Now let's take a look at today's weather, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Here's the forecast.
We should be mostly dry through your Tuesday in Ohio. I'm Chief Meteorologist Ryan Martin. Let's take a look at that Ohio Ag Weather Update. Not much happening here today as we're kind of in no man's land, stuck between cold air to the north and warm air to the south. We're going to sit here and be relatively mild compared to normal, but not nearly as mild as what we saw over the weekend. In any case, we've got another wave of moisture headed towards us for tomorrow. That wave is going to come up from the southwest. Warm air versus cold air, triggering some precipitation. The biggest rains to stay south of the Ohio River, but here, scattered rain showers in the south and maybe a few snowflakes up north, mostly due to the fact that cold air does get drugged down in by this weather system as it passes through. We are much colder tomorrow night, right on through Thursday and the end of the week. May see a little clipper system try and come through the Great Lakes on a Friday that throws cloud cover down our way, but generally we're just looking at a cold air setup. Lake effect can be a story for us for Saturday, not so much on Sunday as high pressure sits right here, and we see cold air sitting right on through next Monday, Tuesday, and Christmas Day. As a matter of fact, on Christmas Eve, there's going to be a quick-moving system come through, maybe giving us a spat of snow. So there could be a potential for a white Christmas in many areas. We'll just have to see how that holds together as we get closer to it. But a chance of snow for the 24th. Then immediately after Christmas is done, the 26th on through the 29th and 30th, we see a huge temperature moderation push. And any snow that's here melts off pretty quick. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. The Farm Credit Administration's board received an update on economic issues affecting agriculture. The U.S. economy has continued to show modest growth through 2024 as gains in productivity support real wage growth and boost consumer spending. For agriculture, there's a sharp divergence in returns for crop and livestock sectors that has become apparent as producers enter 2025. Cash grain farmers are seeing lower returns with average incomes down sharply this year. In contrast, cattle and dairy farms are forecast to see strong incomes as lower feed costs benefit producers across the livestock sector. Specialty commodity producers continue to be exposed to fast-growing costs such as labor and interest on farm debt. Farmland values in most regions have been flat in real terms this year. Early indicators find increasing softness in farmland markets as values decline for low-quality land and the number of transactions falls. But premiums for metro-adjacent farmlands have risen. Now let's check in for an update from Dale Minyo from Roland Truck.
Joining me is Andrew Rowland of Roland Truck, and you can find out more about the topics we're talking about at RowlandTruck.com. Andrew, give us a quick update. Is this the time of the year, like lots of other industries, where guys are looking at their books and saying, what do we need to help us next year, and can we get it by the end of the year? How would you answer that question?
Obviously, we try to have a vast selection of things for people to come and see us, whether that's trucks, trailers, and also we do a fabrication of stretching trucks, adding grain bodies, doing lift axles, things like that. Try to be well-rounded to suit our customers.
When you say well-rounded, you also are well-rounded in a large geographical area. I've talked to 3 or 4 producers since we've done some of your other interviews, and you're the first places they look to see if you've got the inventory or the frame to build it.
It's always great. Word of mouth always is good, My dad's always said good news or bad news travels faster than good news. It's good the guys are saying that stuff as we try to give out a product that is worthy and that people want to come back and when they're ready to buy again.
So you've got frames if somebody wants to stretch them, but if somebody has what they already want to work with, they can talk to you about what they can do with their current system and improve it for their work.
Yeah, we add stretch frames, certain wheelbases. You're adding a grain bed or fertilizer tender body. We do liquid tank installs as well to where we're setting the wheelbase, we're moving the axles, adding lift axles, PTOs, things like that to run different types of systems. That's everything in our wheelhouse that we do here, Dale. So, yeah, we're more than capable.
Well, Andrew, if people plan quickly, they can get themselves a Christmas present to be delivered shortly after New Year.
Yes, absolutely. I always work to satisfy the customer, and we'll do whatever we can do to help them.
There you go. And you can always find out more and see their pictures at RowlandTruck.com. That's ROWLAND truck.com. Thanks, Andrew.
Thanks, Dale.
Hey, thanks, Dale, for that update. Well, no Mexican cattle imports into the United States before the holidays. Last week, the USDA reversed course on comments that may have let cattle imports from Mexico into the United States resume before the year-end holidays. It suspended those imports in November due to the discovery of the New World screwworm in Mexico. The agency says it approved a second round of emergency funding to block the flesh-eating livestock pest from getting into the United States. Shipments will likely resume incrementally after the new year, with full resumption of live animal imports soon after the calendar turns to 2025, says Dr. Rosemary Seifer, USDA's Chief Veterinary Officer. The USDA is reaching into Commodity Credit Corporation funding to aid the fight against the screwworm in Mexico and Central America. It approved a $109.8 million in funding last year. Now let's check in with Matt Reese for this week's podcast.
Listeners will get a healthy dose of Christmas spirit on this week's Ohio AgNet podcast. Be sure to check it out at ocj.com or wherever your podcasts are found. And Merry Christmas from all of us here at Ohio AgNet.
Hey, thanks, Matt. Well, the World Agricultural Outlook Board Chair, Mark Jekanowski, looks at class and all milk price forecasts for 2024 and 2025 per USDA's December milk outlook.
Class prices adjusted modestly this month. Class 3 price for 2024 was lowered by 15 cents per hundredweight, and then for 2025 we reduced it by 50 cents per hundredweight. Current forecast for 2025 for Class 3 would be $18.80 per hundredweight. Class 4 price, that's where we're seeing a little bit of strength from those dry products, especially non-fat dry milk. So we raised our Class 4 price forecast for 2025 by 10 cents per hundredweight at $20.40 per hundredweight. All milk price, kind of reflecting those changes in the class prices. For 2024, our all milk price was reduced 10 cents per hundredweight to $22.65 per hundredweight. And for 2025, we reduced our all milk price by 30 cents per hundredweight to $25.55 per hundredweight. Year over year, that's a decline of 10 cents.
Again, that was Mark Jekanowski, board chair for the World Agricultural Outlook Board. Stay tuned. We'll be back to take a look at your grain analysis and your overnight markets after this.
In a time of tight margins when every penny counts, could you be saving more on your monthly energy bill? Ohio Farm Bureau is here to help members get competitive electric and natural gas supply prices through its energy savings program. Participants save an average of 10% on their rates. Let Ohio Farm Bureau help you take the guesswork out of energy savings. Request your free bill analysis at ofb.ag/energy program. Savings not guaranteed. Actual savings may vary.
Nearly 90% of farmers say that financial worries, constantly changing market conditions, and other uncontrollable variables take a toll on their mental well-being. Add in the weather and family dynamics, well, it's a lot to handle alone. But did you know farmers and their families can receive free confidential services from licensed professionals? Support is available 24/7 to help with the challenges you face. Look for Farm Family Wellness Alliance under the Resources tab at farmfoundation.org. Take care of yourself. Your well-being matters.
It's now time for the Louis Dreyfus Grain Analysis, and that's brought to you by the Ohio Soybean Council and your soybean checkoff. Here's Ryan Martin.
Grain market started the week on a mixed note, a little bit stronger in corn, stronger in the hard wheats, both in Minneapolis and Kansas City. Weakness in soybeans, and Chicago wheat faltered late. Let's take a look at the headlines behind the move yesterday. First off, the NOPA crush report was disappointing for the month of November, coming in at 193 million bushels overall. That was about 4 million bushels less than what was expected. The range of estimates were all the way from 191 to 207, so whoever threw out that 207, sorely disappointed. The November crush was down about 3.5% from October. Daily processing rate was the second largest on record. The ADM plant in Des Moines was down for maintenance, and that's what kept the monthly total below 200 million bushels. Now, on the rest of that report, soy oil stocks up about 10 million pounds. Stocks are well below trade estimates, though, and the smaller soybean crush limited the growth in stocks. The NOPA report was viewed as a bit bearish, slightly positive to soy oil. Crush margins are expected to deflate amid abundance of U.S. cash soy meal supply. Cash basis bids are down about $30 to $40 a metric ton versus this week last year. No flash reported sales on anything yesterday, corn, beans, or weeds. As we take a look at the main headline, at least on the bean side, that put a big pall over the marketplace after a little bit of a rally early on in the morning, it was record large South American crops. The weather is continuing to be fantastic in Brazil and Argentina. Brazil harvest of soybeans planted in early September has started in far northern Mato Grosso as of late last week. The majority of the Mato Grosso crop will be ready for harvest in about 30 to 45 days, but these are those early beans and early planted and early varieties on top of that. So we'll see whether the returns come in as expected, a bit above or a bit below, but that's the main talking point of the market so far. I'm Ryan Martin.
Hey, thanks, Ryan. Now let's take a look at your overnight markets, brought to us by Seed Consultants. Simply better performance online at seedconsultants.com. Well, let's start off with May corn, 452.5, up 3/4. September corn, 437.25, up 3/4. December of next year corn, 441, up 3/4. Now looking at soybeans, March soybeans, 989.75, up 3 3/4. August soybeans, 1007.75, up 2.5. September soybeans, 997, up 2 3/4. May wheat, 561.5, up 1/2. July wheat, 567, down 1/2. Now looking at livestock from yesterday's close, December live cattle 192.02, down $1.62. February live cattle 189.97, down $2.05. February lean hogs 83.55, down $2.05. April lean hogs 88.25, down $1.50. March feeder cattle 256.37, down $1.30. April feeder cattle 257.42, down $1.10. January class 3 milk 20.27, down 3 cents. Thanks for joining us and have a great day, everyone. This is the Ohio AgNet.